Hello, folks, and welcome back to my channel, Dear Harmony. It's great to be here. And today I'm going to start a series in response to a question I received, a really great question, one I've thought about for half my life, the answers to. And it's so big and the answers are so complex that I've decided to turn it into a bit of a series. So here it is. Somebody wrote to me with this question, a gentleman, and it goes like this. Dear Harmony, why in today's world in general, men and women are in conflict with each other and not quite in harmony? So I'm sure many want to know the answer to this one. And he starts off with in today's world. And I think that's because in 2021, after 100 years of women having the right to vote and achieving equalities, more equalities anyway, and pulling out of oppression, we still have this disharmony and what some might call the war between the sexes. So that's big, it's deep. And I remember being in my early 20s when I started to sort of feel and see this in an adult way. Clearly, children get born into families in a world where they see the disharmony either in their own house or out in the world or on TV. But as an adult, we start to experience and understand the conflict either we experience or see in a different way. And for me, that began in my early 20s. And I said to myself, I'm going to figure this out and I'm going to write a book about it, which I haven't done. But I certainly spent a lot of time looking at it, taking workshops and courses on the topic of relationships. So this writer, this person is asking about men and women, but we live in a gender fluid society and people who identify sexually in different ways. So we could just as easily talk about the feminine and the masculine, because whether you're heterosexual or homosexual, there is the feminine and masculine energies at play to create polarity and attraction. So that's why I want to start this off, the answer to this question, to talk about what's known as the feminine pain body, which I first heard by Eckhart Tolle. Before his writing and speaking, I had never heard the expression feminine pain body, but you could Google that and that would be a great start. Just Google feminine pain body and see what you find. And what it basically means is that there's a body of pain that comes to the feminine and to women from the time that we're born. It's sort of like inherited from our ancestors. How to explain that's a little tricky. It might be a mixture of the sciences, physics, chemistry, biology. But what it means is that essentially girls will inherit deep inside of them, maybe spiritually even, the pain of their ancestors. So if your ancestors have gone through an enormous amount of pain through oppression and abuse, being treated as an unequal citizen, then even though we've come to a place of progress or some progress, that pain's still going to be in there. We'll learn about it in history, and then it will just sort of get re-stimulated and probably take a long time to heal. So I think everybody should learn about the feminine pain body because I believe it exists. And it definitely contributes to the conflict. And when one gender or the opposite energy doesn't understand it or acknowledge it, that in itself is going to contribute to the conflict because it's a real thing. Hopefully there'll come a day where the feminine doesn't have this pain anymore, but I think that's going to be a long way away. And this gets into the second part of my answer for today, which is this thing I call the 300-year rule. And I learned about this a few years back. Some scholars believe that it actually takes 300 years for a new idea, a new social idea, a progress in our culture with each other to completely manifest, to be seen everywhere. 300 years. So women, the 19th Amendment was passed by Congress in 1919, and then which gave women the right to vote, and then ratified in August 2020. So it's only been 100 years. I'm using that as our benchmark for progress for women. 100 years, the right to vote, and then all of the progress that's been made since then. Women can have a credit card, women can sign a mortgage, all the things it's taken 100 years to get us to today. Women can have any kind of career. Women can fight in the military. All the rights and opportunities that women have developed in 100 years. And yet we still have this conflict, and we still have domestic violence, and we still have the war between the sexes, even though we've been really working towards equality for so long now. Well, the fact that we're not there yet is a sign to me that this 300-year thing is for real and true. And we can see it in other areas. We're still combating racism, right? Anywhere there's social injustice, we're still fighting, we're still working at it. Maybe because we haven't gotten to 300 years of trying to figure it out and perfect it. Okay, so that helps me to be patient with these things. We're still, the Black Lives Matter movement, all the things that we see on the news and everything that's still going on, that's injustice. Let's see, civil rights, the right to vote, all of that, even later than the 19th Amendment, right? So that's also something that unfortunately may take us 300 years before we actually look around and say, the future generations will be like, oh, well, we don't have any more sexism or misogyny or racism. Like, it's gone. That's all history, old history. So the feminine pain body, the 300-year rule, the conflict, it's not over. And one of the reasons is because we're not there yet with each other. And it takes time, because an idea is born, enough pain is felt, an idea is born, and then, a decision gets made in government for us, and then we have to learn to live with it. And then some people still have to come around. I'm like, no, that's not right. And some people still have to come around. And then in certain generations have to die off. We have to slowly teach these ideas. I'm pretty sure that in this lifetime, I'm not going to see the end to this conflict that you're asking about. Not completely. If anything, I'll just be able to be more independent and have more rights than my great-grandmother did, basically. And my daughter, who knows what's going to happen in her generation, but she might not see the end of the conflict either because of the 300-year rule. I don't know if it's really a rule, but there are some scholars that believe this is true, that it takes us that long to fully manifest in our world these beautiful, enlightened ideas. So that's the beginning of my answer to your question. And I have so much more to say in answer to this question, because I think it's something I've cared about and been passionate about since I was a young woman trying to relate, and have a relationship with men myself. I have my own personal issues, which I'm not going to get into, but I can definitely address this topic from the various complexities on a few videos. So that's what I'm going to do. Thank you so much to the person who wrote to me with this question, because this is exciting. I get to educate, hopefully entertain a little too. Like, am I educating? Am I entertaining? Hopefully I'm doing a little bit of both. We'll see. And if you like this video, please click like below. Subscribe to the channel if you can, if you want to. and pass the word. Down below in the description, you'll also see the email address you need to use to write me a letter. I'm here to give personal advice and opinion here and there. And I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for coming.